What's the worst nice guy experience you've ever had? Lost one of my friends on a crazy night out in an unfamiliar city. Not picking up her phone. We looked for her for over an hour in a half-mile radius. Finally, we got a call from a nice guy from the bar who allegedly saw her wandering alone and had brought her to his apartment, heard her phone blowing up, and called me back. She was indeed asleep on his couch. We thanked him, packed her up, and went on our way. A couple days later, he called me again to ask me on a date. I politely declined. I had a BF at the time, but would have said no regardless. That was apparently unacceptable, and he told me I owed it to him for not raping my friend when he had the chance. Literally, he told me he could have done whatever. He wanted to her, and didn't need to call me at all, and it was the least I could do to thank him. I let him know that you don't get a trophy for not raping someone. He cussed me out and went on about how he's a veteran and how dare I and blah. Blah blah, hung up and blocked him, entitled creep.
I joined a gaming group, slowly started to speak to someone and make a close friend. 3 months went on. Eventually he said he liked me. I said I didn't feel the same. He took it well and said he was happy to remain friends. We had exchanged Christmas cards before it all went to hell, so he knew where I lived. Then the little quips of intensity started, until he was calling me 50 times a day. All day, every day needed to stay in contact. Slowly chats turned to harassment every day, making up stories of things I hadn't done, berating me and blowing up if I didn't reply within a 30-second window. I tried to cut him off, but then it would make it 10x worse to where he was screaming to everyone that he was going to kill himself if I don't speak to him. I was only 18 at the time. It was easier to just keep the peace than to try and get away. Then the gifts started, sending things to my house, turning up at my house multiple times a week, even though he lived 300 miles away. He told everybody a completely different story, to what he was actually doing to make himself look better and come out on top. It only stopped when I contacted the police. His entire family still blame me.
A horrible date with a nice guy named Josh back in 2002. We went hiking on our date. He spent the entire time bragging about how smart he was. Smarter than everyone he's ever known. So smart, he knew not to go to a university because community college is just as good for much less. Everyone who goes to a university is an idiot. Everyone who doesn't do things the exact way Josh does them is a low IQ moron. All of Josh's coworkers are idiots. He was the best Geek Squad employee in history, and Best Buy would fall apart without him. Josh also had a lot of trouble finding a woman because women often have low IQs and can't keep up with his intellect. Women are dumb, not me though. I'm okay. I could not wait to get home and block the guy. Edit. I met him on Yahoo Personals. He came off okay there and we arranged a date after a short conversation. Yes, we had AIM and Yahoo Messenger back then, and that's where I blocked him. I don't know where Josh is today. I don't care. I don't care what his side of the story is. He was a twat and probably still is. No, I wasn't fat. Josh's attitude and horrible personality are 100% Josh's fault, not mine.
I met a guy at work who seemed really cool. We would have cigs together every once in a while for months. I gave him my number, but told him up front I wasn't interested in him in that way. He said that was fine, and he understood. We texted, here and there, made plans to hang out, but we both couldn't make it the few times we did. Randomly, one day he was drunk and texting me flirty things, which I just kinda ignored. Following that day, he apologized, and I said it was okay, and just reiterated I wasn't looking for anything like that. He continued to text me, non-stop, repeatedly, asking why I wasn't responding and why I gave him my number if I didn't. Want him? Because he clearly wanted me, and that's why he gave me his number, which I must have known. I told him it wasn't anything personal and that I wasn't over my ex. He then asked me to give him graphic details of my ex, like dick size, what made him so great, etc. I quickly cut the convo off. Later, he started doing the same things to me, saying, I'm just like every other woman, damaged goods, who blame all men for the actions of their ex. It became scary, and I blocked him. Over a year later, he reached out to me from a burner FB account telling me he now has a DUI. And it's my fault, because the night of our conversation, he got drunk and went out driving. I responded saying, please don't talk to me. He wrote back saying, remind me again why you don't like me, because I'm creepy? And R, nice guy, his words verbatim. He's a disturbing individual.
I used to daily drive a heavily modified high HP turbo car. One day the turbo decided to eat itself. No worries. It was on the top in front of the engine, so easy to access. Guy was a friend, and only a friend of mine, or so I thought, and offered to help. This is important. He offered. I never asked. So he comes by, helps take the turbo out. We hang out, shoot the shit, drink a beer or a few, finish up the removal, and he goes on his way. I then send the turbo back for warranty. Turbo comes back maybe a month later. In the meantime, I had just met FH, who happened to be a professional mechanic. When I mentioned I couldn't hang out with him on a weekend day, he asked why, so I explained. He offered to come help with install. I said thank you, and that was that. He came over, helped with install. We grabbed some food after, and then he went home. So eventually, Guy asks when we are reinstalling the turbo, and I told him it was already done. He got a little weird, but apparently I missed the whole thing. Then he started digging. Like I wasn't capable of doing the job myself. I am. He eventually kept asking who helped me with the install. I told him FH. His reply? Well, I bet he at least got laid for his hard work. I guess eventually he did, since we've been together for almost 18 years, but not because he helped me do something I could do myself.
We bought groceries together for a work event, and he insisted on putting all the groceries into the car because I'm superior to him. I had to nervously laugh my way out of that and say, no, of course not, haha. When we got back into the car, he asked if I was in a relationship. I said no, but that I also wasn't looking. I was, but I had a feeling he was going to ask. He said, not even with me. I said, haha, no, not with anyone, sorry. He said, I was being really rude by not even accepting a date. When we got back to work, he complained to everyone that I made him do all the shopping and that I then started name-calling in the car. He also said I wouldn't stop asking him on a date since everyone saw him bring the groceries back in because he had strongly insisted. At least that part looked true, and I was so scared because I didn't know how to sort the whole thing out. Luckily, the camera in the car had audio edit. I really appreciate all the advice, but this was a few years ago and has been resolved. He was fired soon after for apparently something else.
Haven't had any because I'm a man, but I've heard various horror stories from friends. Perhaps the worst must have been with a girl that I was going out a few years ago. She had a lot of orbiters, but there was one in particular who had managed to break into her inner circle because he was playing the orbiter-long game of pretending to be her friend. That wasn't for a few months or anything. That guy had been hanging out with her for years and years, secretly liking her but ostensibly claiming to be her friend and nothing more. And of course this is a shitty thing to do, but at least most. Such people never actually muster up the courage to ever say anything. So, for all intents and purposes, they sort of are friends. But this one was determined to find the perfect time to strike. The perfect opportunity to confess his feelings so that she would also reciprocate. Did he choose to take her out on a wonderful day of activities and reminiscing about their good times together and their compatibility as people before shooting his shot? No. Did he get her a nice thoughtful gift before spilling the beans because he couldn't hold it in anymore? No. Did he straight up just tell her and ask her feelings because at the end of the day, pretending to be someone's friend when you have ulterior motives is a shitty thing to do and better come clean late than never? No. He chose to confess his feelings a few days after her dad passed away from cancer because in his mind, her being vulnerable increased his chances. Yet another mark of a shitty person. Of course, it goes without saying that this same dude always shit-talked any prospective boyfriend she might have met and constantly undermined any actual boyfriend she had until she broke up. Shitty, spineless behavior.
For more videos like this, don't forget to like and subscribe.